The definition of election. Election in Malaysia include election to public office of the political entities that since 1963 have composed the Federation of Malaysia. At present, election in Malaysia exists at two levels, federal level and state level. Federal level election are those for membership in the Dewan Rakyat, the lower house of parliament, while state level election are for membership in the various state legislative assemblies. The head of executive branch at the both federal and state levels, the Prime Minister and Chief Minister respectively, are indirectly elected, usually filed by a member of the majority in the respective legislature.
Malaysia is a representative democracy. During a federal election, all Malaysian citizens who are at least 18 years old on election day can vote in their electoral district. The Dewan Rakyat consists of 222 members known as Members of Parliament, which we call them as MPs, that are elected for 5 years term. Each MP is elected from a single member constituency using the first past the post voting system. But many steps must first be taken before voters go to the polls. And there are 6 steps to step during the process of the election.
When was election first established? The Election Commission of Malaysia was established on 4th of September 1957 according to Article 114 of the Federal Constitution. During its establishment, the Election Commission comprised of only one chairman and two members. The first chairman of the Election Commission was Datuk Dr. Mustafa Al-Bakri, while the members were Mr. Lee Ee Boon and Mr. Dit Singh. Following the formation of Malaysia in 1963, the number of commission members was increased to 3%. The additional member was either from Sabah or Sarawak and was appointed on a rational basis. So, how is candidate being elected for election? So, there are three types, which is federal level, state level, and local government. Firstly, at federal level, voters elect the 222-member House of Representatives of the bicameral parliament. Members are elected from single-member constituencies drawn based on population using the first past the post system. The party that has the majority of the House of Representatives will form the federal government. Second is the state level. At the state level, voters elect representatives to the Dewan Undangan Negeri. The number of representatives varies between the different states, with as many as 82 electorates in Sarawak and as little as 15 in Perlis. Members are elected from single-member constituencies drawn based on population using the first past the post system. The party that formed the majority of the state assembly will form the state government. And lastly, the local government. Although there used to be election for member of local government such as municipal municipal councils, today no local government election are held in Malaysia. Local government election were suspended after the Indonesia-Malaysia confrontation in 1964. The suspension was never lifted and instead made permanent under the Local Government Act 1976. Under the Act or the laws of individual states where relevant, local government members are appointed by the state government.
The election process of first step is dissolution of parliament. Before candidates hit the campaign trail and voters go to the polls, the government has to end all business in parliament. Dissolution is the process of stopping parliamentary business to prepare for an election. The prime ministers ask the Governor General to dissolve Parliament. The Governor General directs the Chief Electoral Officer to issue the writs of election. What is the writs of election? A writ is a formal written order that tells election officers in each riding to hold an election. The Chief Electoral Officer issues the writs. So, the list tells them who is registered to vote in their riding. The election process of Step 2. Nomination of candidates. Political parties need to choose candidates to run in an election. As soon as the election writs are issued, each party must decide who will be its candidate for each riding. A candidate can also run for election without being affiliated with a party as either an independent candidate or a candidate with no affiliation. Under the constitutional protection, Section 41 of the Constitution, which deals with the right to vote, provides only the persons having the right to vote in state elections have the rights to vote in federal elections. Limitation on the right to vote have been a focus of the Commission's work by Human Rights Commission Suhaka. Do you know what are the basic requirements to become a candidate? Here I will tell you. First, you must be a Malaysian citizen. Second, you must be at least 18 years old on election day. Since 15 December 2021, Malaysian citizens 18 years old and above are automatically registered to vote, and voting is compulsory. After identity verification at a voting center, each voter receives 2 paper ballots, one for a parliamentary seat of the constituency and another for the state assembly seat. The election process of Step 3. Campaigning. Once the election writs are issued, candidates start campaigning. The election of campaign period must be at least 37 days and no more than 51 days. During the campaign, the goal of the parties and candidates is to convince voters that they are the best party or person for the job. To do this, parties and candidates promote their platform. Usually, this is a document that parties use to tell voters about their goals, ideas, principles. It is a way for parties to put in writing what they will do if they are elected. Go to door in their riding to meet with voters and take part in debates with candidates of other parties. The election process of Step 4 is voting. Voting is an important civic duty. To vote in a federal election, you must be a Malaysian citizen, at least 18 years old on election day, and registered to vote. There are several ways to vote. First, vote on election day. Second, vote on advance polling days. Third, vote at any election Malaysian office. Fourth, vote by email. The vote by email must be a reason you are in abroad. The voting process are here. Everyone votes in secret. They have the right to choose their preferred candidate, free of anyone else's influence. To vote, people must show proof of their identity and address. Each voter gets a ballot from an election officer. The voter takes the ballot behind a voting screen and marks an X beside the name of their chosen candidate. The voter places their ballot in a ballot box. Malaysia is a representative democracy. During a federal election, all Malaysian citizens who are at least 18 years old on election day can vote in their electoral district. The Dewan Rakyat consists of 222 members known as Members of Parliament, which we call them as MPs, that are elected for 5 years term. Each MP is elected from a single member constituency using the first past the post voting system. But many steps must first be taken before voters go to the polls. And there are 6 steps to step during the process of the election. Election process of step 5. Counting and result. Once the poll closes, it is time to count the ballots and find out who won. During this time, the doors of the polling station are closed. No one is allowed to enter or leave until the counting is done. First, election officers open the ballot boxes and count the ballots. The election officers record the number of voters for each candidate on a statement of the vote. They also record the number of rejected ballots. The ballots and other election documents are sealed in the ballot box and delivered to the returning officer. In the most cases, a clear winner emerges after the ballots are counted, but sometimes the vote count is very close or even tied. If there is a tie or a close vote, the ballots need to be counted again in a judicial recount. For example, in an electoral district with 40,000 votes cast, a judicial recount will be required if a candidate won by a fewer than 40 votes. A judge presides over these recounts.
Election. So who can be voted in Malaysia? The all Malaysian religions can be voted, such as Islamic, Buddhism, Christian and Hinduism. How many years the election date? Each parliament at least 5 years from the date of the first meeting unless dissolved earlier by the YDPA at the request of the PM. Election is such as within 16 days of the dissolution. Next parliament within 120 days of dissolution. P is qualified. Malaysian citizens above the 21 age for be vote, and then residents of the elections is consistently and never be barred and disqualified by any laws. Not qualified. On the qualifying a date, we are surviving a jail terms or detained as a person of unsounded mind. Before the qualifying date, we have to convince a sentence to death or serving jail a terms of more than 12 months. Third point, found a guilty under the Elections Offence Act 1954 and have dual citizenship. What if you are Malaysian citizen living at overseas? Where can you register for the voters? If you are a Malaysian citizen living or studying or working overseas with all, the qualification is to register as a voters. Here, what you need to, number 1, go to the Embassy of Malaysia in Baku, Republic of the Azerbaijan. Second point, let's us know that you want to register as a voter and bring along your IC and passport. Number 3, fill and register from the ensure that all of the details are accurate. Number 4 points, make sure a copy of the registration form as a reference. Election time, your officially status is 12 a.m. and end of the result announcement. The time for the voting is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. What should we bring to the election center? First one is wear mask and identity card, keep quiet, No one is allowed to the canvas for the voters within the 50 meter of the election center. This is including the doing the party or any t-shirts including the party or photographer video recording. It's not allowed. So finally, how many is consistently.
Now I'm going to talk about the purpose of election every 5 years. An election is a formal group decision-making process by which a population chooses an individual or multiple individuals to hold public office. Election make a fundamental contribution to democratic governance because direct democracy, a form of government in which political decisions are made directly by the entire body of qualified citizens, is impractical. In most modern society, democratic government must be conducted through representative election enable voters to select leaders and to hold them accountable for their performance in their office. The first purpose of the election to give people a chance to choose the representative, the government, and the policy they prefer by the public. It also can help to resolve the public issue and guide the government in making informed decisions. Election make it possible for those in government to give account of their stewardship. Bad government will be voted out by our public decision. Popularity and acceptability of candidate and political parties can be measured through election. Thank you.